There is a new secret change added in the big new Master Duel update that you need to change in your duel settings right now unless you want to be at a disadvantage. We are doing a giveaway. Like, subscribe, comment. If you're already subscribed, you're in the giveaway. Just like and comment. $100 giveaway. Just let me know what you want from me with Yu-Gi-Oh! Now let's get into what this update and secret change has done to the game. So if we look at the official update rundown of what Konami said, it's mixed in here somewhere that's going to change dueling forever for good players. And that is right here. Added a switch plus hold option to the activation confirmation settings. Now, maybe you saw this, but you don't really understand what it means. Now, allow me to explain. There are two optimal ways to play the game before this change. And that is going to the duel settings right here. First of all, you do want to change your duel settings to be like mine. Self-chain needs to be on. You do want manual card position. I know it could be annoying to manually place your cards, but you got to do it. The order activations on. This is very important for setting up your multiple chain links in the order you want to set up chain link blocking. Otherwise, it will be automated like in Duel Links. So this is the two different ways to optimally play. You'd have hold one, which I'll show you the first way. A lot of people are playing this way, where if you right click, your toggle goes to off, which means you're not going to activate any quick effects whatsoever. Auto means you have a Konami assistant tapping on your shoulder when they think you want to activate. They are constantly changing what is reactive to the auto, but you sometimes want this on, but in many circumstances you don't. On will always be asking you. This is full control. This is basically TCG mode, but it's impractical for playing on Master Duel because you don't want to be constantly bothered. You're going to run the timer, you're going to run out of time, and you're going to be distracted when making your plays. So that's optimal way number one. The other optimal way to play before I get into the change is switch. I prefer to play this way, especially when streaming because of reacting to the chat or talking. I like to manually set. Sometimes I want to stay on and I don't want to have to hold left click and sometimes you want to be on off and I don't want to have to hold the right click. But in the majority situations, the auto would be fine. Now, they have taken both of those optimal ways to play and have combined it into one. And I'm going to show you how to legally cheat with it, be able to check face downs, check cards in the hand, and also bluff your own cards. Your opponent's going to have no idea what you have if you do this correctly. So you're going to go to switch. It's going to be switch plus hold. Now, if you tap the right click or tap the left click, it won't change. If you hold the left click, it now changes. If you hold the right click, it now changes. So it's not as spammy and trigger finger as having it on the hold settings. It does require a full hold of the left or right click button, and you could also change it to off or change it to on. This is going to be the most ideal way to play. So for example, if I normal summon, if you have toggle on or you're activating cards, you're going to be bothered by your maxi and quick effects constantly. You do not want to be bothered by that. Even with auto, you're going to be bothered. If I activate the Water Enchantress, it's going to ask me, would you like to max C your own Water Enchantress? No, I don't want to max C or Book of Moon in response to it. So this is where, in many circumstances, especially when going first, if I don't have any relevant quick effects, where you would want your toggle off so you're not bothered. And this is where it could be scary for you. You might be thinking, but Dkayed, what about trigger effects? Well, public trigger effects on the fields, graveyard, banish, they will still trigger with the toggle off. You just won't be bothered by your maxi or Book of Moon. And again, when your opponent has back or you're going second, you probably want to stay on, or auto. But let's say we're going first. I want to activate the Rite of Erzmir. I don't want to be bothered by maxi. And I also do not want to miss my trigger effects. So if we are going to put this in the spell and trap card zone, I'm going to show you that it will still trigger on a summon. So we're going to be adding our Griffin, come to me, and then we could discard a card from the hand. And if I special summon the Griffin Rider, it's not going to be skipping on the trigger effect of Faithful Adventure. As you can see right here, it still works, and it's not bothering me with Max C. So I can activate that fully and be completely okay. Now, let's get into the legal cheating part. As you can see, my field is lit, right? My field is lit. That means that I either have turn player priority in an open game state, or I have a quick effect and or trigger effect that is asking me to activate, and the opponent gets to see when I'm lighting up. So we will switch that to the opponent to show what it looks like when their field lights up. So you're going to end the turn. And also on your own end phase, you don't want there to be a weird delay where your own max C is asking you to activate. That's when you would want to hold your right click to turn it off. And I'm going to go into specific card examples on how to check for hand traps and how to hide your own. You do want to bluff them. So as you can see, your opponent's going to be lighting up once they go into the open game state or have something activatable. So there you go, right there. Their field is red. That signifies that they had an open game state or something activatable, and you want to hide your own red, which is blue in this example, so that you don't reveal hand traps to your opponent. So before I get into the hand traps, I do want to showcase to you that when you're playing with auto, if your opponent's DPE is about to come back during the standby phase, with auto, there's no way that you're going to be able to use your Called by the Grave or Max C before it comes out, because it does not start a chain link. It just comes out. So what you could do is you could either preemptively have it on, or just hold your left click when the DP is about to come out, and then you're going to be able to Max C, draw a card off their DPE summon during your turn or their turn, or you're actually going to be able to use your Called by the Grave, which you normally would not be able to. Sorry, I need a drink. What else is another big one? Access Code Talker. When they summon Access Code Talker, this is the ultimate gold player destroyer, because it says that your opponent cannot activate cards in response to this card's activation. So you may be thinking right now that this becomes 5,300 attack and then wipes out your whole field and there's nothing you could do. That's incorrect. If you have the toggle on, or if you just hold the left click with this new setting, you will, after it gains attack and before it destroys your field, you will be able to respond to the resolution of it gaining attack to effect Veiler it or impermanence it, which means it will not only lose its attack, but when it banishes a card from the graveyard and even itself, it will be negated. It will not destroy your field. So that's going to be very important for toggling on and off. The most important thing right here, which is I take advantage of this every time I'm playing on ranked, is if I activate a card like Pot of Desires and then my opponent's field lights up and they don't negate it with Ash Blossom, you know what they just told me? They told me they have Max C. So if your opponent has a Pot of Desires or activates an effect that you would obviously Max C, but you don't have Max C and you have I should say if you don't have Ash Blossom and you would have Ash Blossomed it and you instead have Max C, you want to hide your Max C. So when playing and your opponent activates the Pot of D, hold the right click. Hold the right click, hide your Max C. You will have time if you're quick enough. And because obviously you're not going to want to, on your opponent's turn, be playing with the toggle off. You're going to want to be able to quickly hold the left click, hold the right click. So keep it on auto. If they activate a card you obviously don't want to reveal your Max C on, hold the right click. And another big example is a card like Nibiru. Nibiru is going to be revealed. Let's say you have absolutely nothing. Your opponent's making all their plays, then suddenly on their 5th summon, your field's lighting up. That's obvious. You have a Nibiru, unless you're bluffing it. That's another trick you could do. You could hold a card effect that you maybe don't mind not using for a while, and then on their 5th summon, bam. Hold the left click and then your toggle on, then they're going to be freaking out. But if you're not big brain, you just want to be basics, you want to hide your own Nibiru, on their 5th summon, hold the right click, boom. And just be ready to let go when you want to actually summon your Nibiru. And if you're afraid that they might be stopping, after their summon resolution, if you let go and you missed the response to the summon, it will still ask you to Nibiru at the end of the main phase before they end their turn. So if you have a good idea of how the opponent's deck works, that is a really good use of this new feature. Now, let's get into legally cheating with the hand traps. If your opponent normal summons a monster, or I should say, let's say you normal summon a monster, and the opponent's field lights up. What does that mean? Let's say you didn't activate anything. They just revealed to you that they have a Max C, or an Impermanence, or an Effect Veiler, or they have a Dimension Shifter. And sometimes these mad lads that are probably playing with the hold feature only, they're starting the duel with the toggle on, and the field's lighting up already before there's even a monster on the fields. That's telling you that they have a Max C or a Dimension Shifter, then you can now play around that. But sometimes you do want to hold your toggle on at the start of a duel. I know it's going to be very quick, so you just want to hold left click at the start of the duel. You might want to Max C right away. What's a good example of this? Well, TCG players won't know about this, and this is to play around cards like Triple Tactics Talent, which they obviously know about this card, but they don't know about Max C. if you maxi in their draw phase, then they can't use this card if this ever becomes popular, because it says your opponent has to activate a monster effect during the main phase in order to be able to draw 2 cards. So if you at the start of the duel want to play around this, which I've seen in my tournaments over and over, people are not playing around this, then for no good reason, the opponent gets to draw 2 cards because they maxied in the main phase. So do possibly consider that if this card becomes popular, toggle on at the start, drop that maxi right away. So again, going back to this, if you want to hide your own impermanence and you want your toggle on auto, if they summon a monster that you know you're not going to use your impermanence on, just hold your right click and it's off, and then you could wait. It does make the game feel less like a turn-based game and more a reaction game, but honestly, the reactions are not that crazy. I'm 32 years old. If I could do the reactions quickly, left-clicking, right-clicking, and using my hand traps and hiding them correctly, then you can too. All right, I can't even play first-person shooters. I know, it's just left-click their head to headshot. I absolutely cannot do that. And there you go. These are ways to check for hand traps, hide your own. Just search for the filter hand trap. It's sorted by popularity on masterduelmeta.com. And then you could download an app to circle cards based off of how you're playing and seeing what's activatable. If you search a card and their field's lighting up afterward, well, that's obviously Droll and Lockbird. On the resolution of you searching, because if their toggle's on auto, none of these cards will ask them to activate. It's going to be Droll and Lockbird, unless they're playing toggle on like a fool. And this feature, something like this, I could have this for Master Duel, but it costs a lot of money to make, and it'd have to be based off of demand. I did it for Duel Links. If you go to the Duel Assist on duellinksmeta.com, you could then, during a duel, type in a deck type or a card you're playing against. The website will suggest what deck you're probably playing against, and it will tell you their most popular cards. So you could not include traps if you want to just see hand traps, and then you'd be able to click on them. Oh, I think they have one of these. And then, oh, actually they don't have this and that. It's got to be Karma Cut. And I could do this for hand traps if you want from masterduelmeta.com. You just got to let me know if you want that feature. Then you know what, it might be worth it to bring it up for there. No matter how controversial it'll be. Giveaway, $100. Like, subscribe, and comment. Thank you all for the immense support. I appreciate you greatly. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We are out.